We are Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast and YouTube show built around the things we as geeks all love. Hashtag we gather on Sundays. Thank you for checking out the one about road housing lobsters. I'm one of your hosts, Emmet, and I'm joined by the Ted Lasso and my coach Beard, Chris Evans. Chris, how you doing?
Roadhouse. I'm doing good.
Roadhouse.
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcast. Just search Gathering of the Geeks and you'll find us right there. What's up, Zeddy, Ian, Anthony, Phil, Cookie, Eric? How is everybody doing on this fine Sunday evening? Someone said they miss us. I think it was Ian. Ian, we miss you too. Thanks so much for checking us out.
The one about I do like Red Lobster, so that would work.
So yeah, that's a good question. So I don't know what Texas is like. What's the seafood scene like in Texas versus just going down the road to Red Lobster?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. Like, you got like fresh seafood? Do you have real seafood joints, or do you have like Red Lobster?
No, we have like seafood boil places are pretty popular here. Like they give you a basket full of boiled seafood. Well, it's usually in a bag because it's full of sauces and whatnot. They dump it out on a table. We have a lot of those. I'm not really a big fan of boiled seafood, though. Like boiled shrimp is not my thing. It has the eyes on it. You got to pull the head off. I don't want to do that.
Sure.
If my food has a head, I don't want it. I mean, when it's served to me.
Good rule there. That's a good rule.
Yeah, because like even some fish restaurants, there's seafood again. They'll serve you like the entire fish head on and everything with the teeth and the things looking at you, and I can't. And I know some people like just pick it up with their hands and eat it with the head still on it. Yeah. It's not for me. That's kind of my rule of thumb. If it has a head, I'm not eating it. Well, when it's at the table anyway.
Yeah, if you can see its eyes while you're eating it, that's not going to happen for you.
Right, if we're looking at each other.
That's right. If there's some kind of relationship that you're building here.
Right, like
not eating.
There's essentially you bastard. Yeah, it's not good. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
But we don't really have a lot of fresh seafood because we're not as close to the ocean, so it's it's mostly frozen. And Red Lobster.
And Red Lobster.
Yeah. How about you guys? What do you have over there?
I think pretty much Red Lobster. We have one probably about an hour away from here. It's like a delicacy, for us Canadians in the middle of the country.
That is correct, Bill. You never want to make eye contact with your meal. He says food still moves on a plate here in Japan. Yeah, I've seen the videos of like the monkey thing.
Oh my god!
Have you seen that?
Well, like Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, like the monkey, and they take the skull off and eat the brains, monkey brains.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But there's like a table. The monkey comes up. It's very dark.
Yeesh.
The cheddar biscuits are sensational. And the ones that they sell in the grocery stores are not the same. I don't know if it's because you don't walk into your home doesn't smell like a Red Lobster to add to the environment, the atmosphere, or what. But it's not the same. You really just got to go there and eat the biscuits.
Yeah, it's all about the experience.
Anthony's not a seafood fan, so then you don't want to eat fish that look at you. I understand.
Yeah, he doesn't like anything that looks at you.
I'm sure the penguin doesn't mind eating a whole fish head and all. He does it in Returns, I think. Right before he bites the guy's nose, he's eating a fish.
That's right. He's eating a slippery fish, and right before the black goo starts pouring out of his mouth, I think.
That's probably why he has the black goo, because he's eating fish heads. Come on now. Nobody wants
that. Chris, when you were growing up, what was you have arcades in your hometown? So I went to a beer festival this weekend. I worked and at the festival they had like a section in the corner of the place that had NBA Jam, Ninja Turtles in Time, Pac-Man, a whole bunch of things. And I always remember when I was a kid going to we had a store that was called Becker's that had Mortal Kombat in it, and we used to go there after school all the time. I'd steal penny candies and play Mortal Kombat.
What's a penny candy?
Just like you
why were
pay
you
a penny
stealing
for it.
them?
Yeah, exactly. So we have pennies here, or we used to have pennies in Canada. Here it's 1 cent, and like we have penny candies, 5-cent candies, or 10-cent candies. Rather than paying for these 1 cent candies, I used to just steal them because I was a punk kid, and play Mortal Kombat.
You were badass.
Oh yeah, I bet. Or watch my brother's friends play Mortal Kombat on the arcade. And playing the arcade this weekend, we talk about you and I talk about nostalgia pretty often. New movies are coming out. But man, an arcade game. I don't know if there's a lot better than that when I was growing up. Joystick. There was like 2 or 3 buttons only.
Mm.
I love arcades.
Arcades were, I think they're still fun. Like here we have barcades, which I'm sure you guys do too.
Mm-hmm.
I love barcades now. Barcades are a very good time. You just kind of pay your cover charge, you play all the games for free, and you can drink. It's not a bad time.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm entering an era of life where that's becoming more of a thing I want to do.
Oh yeah,
I think so. I'm listening to a lot of Dave Matthews Band, so I think I'm into that. Wearing more plaid than usual and hanging out at barcades.
Dave Matthews Band and barcades
and plaid. I think that is the seasonal me for right now.
I don't know if is that a sign of aging. I'm not really sure what.
I don't know. I think it's life right now. Anthony also loves barcades. I haven't been to a bowlcade. Is that like the same concept? You pay a cover charge and you can bowl as much as you want?
Do we have something like that, like rock and bowl, or like they turn the lights down and like everything's glow in the dark?
Oh yeah, we have that. I think.
Yeah.
If you want to, and Ian says if you want to see arcades on crack, come to Tokyo. They're still huge here. Yeah, they're not really big here. Mostly the barcades are, I think. Like we have a couple of arcades, like real arcades, but they're mostly like arcade, bowling, laser tag, stuff like that. Not just dedicated arcades like when we were kids.
Mm-hmm.
Here's machines, play them, and I guess still candies. Same concept, yeah, with bowling. Okay, that's cool. That sounds fun. I'm not a big bowler, are you?
Yeah, that's what it's actually a good family thing that we like to do. And even I took my son and his friend a few months ago to bowling. They got the gutter guards where you just put the metal over the guards.
Those are pretty awesome.
So the kids can throw and they hit a bowl or hit a pin every time. So I like bowling. I like 5-pin. I like 10-pin. That's actually something I like to do, and it's fairly easy. It doesn't really matter if you get 0 points or you get 100. I find enjoyment in lots of bowling, whether I'm good at it or not, because I'm mostly pretty bad at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the bumpers.
Yeah. or do you have the things where you just like you get the ramp, you just put the ball at the top
too.
and it just goes down for you.
It's pretty cool. You just get it to the top and the kid rolls it down. It works.
That's right. No skill involved. Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
All right, Chris. So we took a week off last week, so we've got 2 weeks of worth of stuff to get to. So what did you get up to the past couple of weeks?
I finally read a little bit. A little bit. I got caught up with Beneath the Trees.
Mm-hmm.
That took an interesting twist. Are you all caught up with that?
There was a one recently, right?
There was a one
this week.
It was this week.
Yeah, so I didn't read this week's issue.
Okay, things are getting real for Samantha. It has taken quite a turn, and I know that we've gushed about it before. I love this book so much, and I hope they stick the landing. I don't really. The twist that's happening right now isn't my favorite thing. I still like it quite a bit, like I said, but the twist is something I don't know. I kind of expect something else. Maybe.
So there's a twist in issue 4 as well, because
it just
in issue 3.
It continues from that.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I think it's not my favorite part of the story yet, but I'm interested to see what they do with it. And I just love the story. And it's so cute. They're these little animals committing murder. It's the best thing.
Yeah, we love it.
I do. I love cute murder. I can't help it. It is amazing.
Yeah, you really can't help it. Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about that at cannibalism, whichever you want.
Yeah.
Go see Bones and All, everybody.
Yeah.
I read that, and I read the new Vengeance of Moon Knight issue this week.
Oh yeah, how's that been going?
Good. They're still keeping the mystery going of who is Moon Knight, which I like. But I want to know who Moon Knight is now. I'm curious.
Yeah, you've had enough of the teasing. You're ready to know.
A little bit, yeah. I figured we would have known by now. but I guess they want to stretch it out a bit more. And I'm sure Mark is coming back at some point anyway, so they're, I guess making you miss him, which is a concept. I guess it's cool, not bad. But I think that the Moon Knight book is one of the most consistent things Marvel has had going for them for the last few years. Jed MacKay has just been awesome for that book. And now he's going to handle some X-Men, so I'm all for that.
Yeah, that's even, I think that was one of the first things you messaged me after I messaged you, like the list of the X-Men books that were coming out. Just having Jed MacKay on the main X-Men book.
Well, there's 3 of them. I think the Simone one is the main book.
Oh, okay.
I think. I'm not sure. It's kind of confusing with 3 books, and you don't know which one is the one you have to read. If you have to read anything, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah,
but anyway, I'm excited.
Yeah, that was one of the things. Just a quick sidebar about the X-Men releases that we kind of knew was eventually coming. One thing that surprised me was the amount of titles that were already announced. I think it's 3 X-Men titles, and then they showed like a list of all the other ones that are eventually going to come. It's just like Marvel and X-Men don't know how to stay out of their own way with the confusion and the over abundance of X-Men titles. Which is like they continually do it over and over and over again. So it's like you shouldn't expect them to be simple. But it's just like something for me as somebody who just wants to read a simple X-Men book. I'm not sure I'm ever gonna get that.
No.
Yeah.
Marvel does not know how to cool their jets when it comes to the X-Men. But I think primarily because there's such a selling point. Marvel to most people is Spider-Man and X-Men.
Yep.
The Avengers really only became a thing. I don't mean to downplay Marvel's success. I'm not saying that. But Iron Man was not an A-list character before the movie.
Right.
And even now, I don't know if people are flocking to read the Iron Man books.
Yeah.
But Spider-Man and X-Men are consistently, they're on the charts. So.
Yep.
We got some comments to get to, and then we'll see what you read. Anthony saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, Late Night with the Devil, and Immaculate. Anthony kind of did the trifecta this week. He saw all the good stuff.
They all came out this week, right?
It was a big week. Yeah. I didn't get a chance to Immaculate. I'm either going to go after the show or tomorrow night. Probably tomorrow night.
I read something about that there was a review about somebody was throwing up in the movie theater from
which one?
From Immaculate.
Just the
third act of that movie.
So that's intense.
Yeah.
Just a quick sidebar about that. That movie's been in development for so long. Sydney Sweeney auditioned as a teenager. I think she was like 16.
Oh, really?
At the time, the movie lost funding, so it took her from when she was 16 to now to get this movie made. She helped write the script or something too. Pretty interesting. Awesome. Ian says, I received Beta Ray Bill, 8 Argent Star and Extremity recently. Finished both over the weekend. And Dana Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer might be my favorite comic duo. Maybe. Immaculate's crazy. Can't wait to check that out. Speaking of X-Men, we're going to talk about that. Immaculate deserves all the hype that's been getting. Late Night with the Devils was my favorite of the 3. I want to say that too, but there's not a lot of showings. Still enjoying Avengers Twilight. Eric asked about, did you see the trailer for Marvel 1943?
Yeah, the basically cinematic movie trailer.
Pretty cool, though.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I'm in. Phil says, people like Iron Man because of Robert Downey Jr. I have a hard time seeing people flocking to theaters to see a new actor take on the role. That too. I'm very curious how that's going to work. He will eventually be recast. Will people go to it? It's kind of like I think of Han Solo. To me, Han Solo does not exist. It's Harrison Ford.
Right.
Even though I like the Solo spinoff movie, I like that a lot. To me, that's just like another character. Whereas Harrison Ford's Han Solo, that's the thing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure it does.
Late Night with the Devil made $666,000 last weekend. Might be something to that. What'd you read?
Yeah, so I think it was last week. Wonder Woman #6 was out. It was a good time. It was kind of their break in between stories. So the story is about Superman and Wonder Woman going to buy a birthday gift for Batman, which is kind of just a fun little outing that Tom King likes to do every once in a while. I remember doing his Batman run. He wrote the double date issue.
Oh yeah.
Where Batman and Superman play baseball and go to a carnival.
It was fun.
So yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of a nice little break in between the Wonder Woman story. But the other, really the only big one for me over the last little while was Helen of Windhorn from Tom King, and can't pronounce the person's name who was on Bill Quees Elvey, yeah. I believe. Yeah, they did the duo that did Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow. It's a really interesting story. I think obviously it looks very good. I love the art from Elvey. I love the art from Women of Tomorrow. It's got the same style but different kind of colors, which is a nice thing. It's got a really interesting story, but if people don't like Tom King, this isn't going to help them at all because it's just Tom King doing Tom King things, which is writing a lot and thinking he's the smartest guy in the world with his words and his dialogue and his commentary on things, which at some points he is. But I think the story is very interesting. It doesn't get very supernaturally. There's a good one. Until the end of the book, when more of the fantastical stuff gets introduced. But everything before that's just very much like a history lesson and about who our characters are, who Helen is, and I forget the person's name who is kind of like the the caregiver of Helen in some way, brought forth by Helen's grandfather to bring her back into the fold, into the family fold after some issues with her family. But it's a really interesting story, kind of about Helen's grandfather, who's like a monster hunter of some kind.
I was gonna ask, what is this book about, actually?
Yeah, it's just about Helen, who's on hard times, and her grandfather hires somebody to bring Helen back to his estate. For I think it's an unknown reason at this point, or he's dying. I can't remember. And there's some weird shit that happens on the estate grounds, and something that's happening. At the end of the book, the grandfather shows up and does a pretty badass, pretty cool thing that kind of skyrockets the story into third or fourth gear. So it's a really interesting story. It feels like it could be a long story, but I think it's just a limited, much like Supergirl, Women of Tomorrow is. But maybe that's just Tom King just writes so much and puts so much into his books that I feel like the story could go on for an ever and ever.
It's kind of his thing.
Yeah, so that it is. It's just this thing. And like I said, this isn't a book to figure out if you don't like Tom King. Be like, yeah, I'm going to give this one a try and see if I change my mind. It's definitely not. I'd say the same for his Animal Pound, which I think issue #2 came out 2 weeks ago as well. Again, it's another book. If you just don't like Tom King, you're never going to like Tom King because he doesn't change his style. He doesn't change who he is. Exactly. He doesn't change how he writes, but he's got a specific style that I really like. I like his dialogue. I like the way his stories unfold. And he's one of those creators that always has art that is perfect, I think. Mm-hmm. Like he's just one of those creators where, he works with the best. And I think from what I've seen from some of the behind the scenes stuff, in my deluxe edition of Mr. Miracle, like his descriptions of things are very simple. Like draw Mr. Miracle draw Mr. Miracle and his baby sitting on a couch, and like the artist will just go off and like add a whole bunch of different things. And there's just so much freedom that he gives the artist that I think really helps the story a lot. And I think that's the same way with Helen of Windhorn #1 as well. So that's really the only big thing for me. New things that I've read. I started reading On These Savage Shores from Rom V. I got the deluxe edition of that one a couple weeks ago, and I finally started reading that again. This is an older one from Rom V, but again, someone who has a very specific style with how they write. And the same thing with the art. I think they always have somebody where their art is top notch as well. So it's a really interesting vampire-esque story, but so much more than just a simple vampire story. There's a lot of stuff with the East India Trading Company, all that kind of jazz, and Middle Eastern kings and queens and princes and war, lots of war, with a kind of a weird mystical Adam and Eve vampire story mixed in there, which is very, very interesting.
I was kind of sold at Pirates and Vampires.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of great art, the Batman First Night was stunning. I don't think I read First Night. That's the one that was like the
old-timey one. Yeah, the old-timey one.
Oh, yeah. I actually forgot about it. This month has been a whirlwind for me. So
ridiculous.
Yeah, I have not processed a lot of things this month. I'll get to it. At the top of my list is actually that Tom King book, though, and I need to catch up on Avengers Twilight before I get too far behind.
Yeah, you think there's only 2 more issues after this one.
Yeah, I want to get caught up, especially because I'm the one who was like all for it to begin with.
Yeah, that's how that works sometimes.
The first 2 issues were in easier months for me.
That's right. How dare they?
How dare you schedule around my things?
Right.
But yeah, I'll get to the other stuff, especially that I will get to the Batman First Night book because I really love the cover and the idea of it.
Yeah, that other Batman book comes out this week, I think, too. The Dark Age one.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of interested in that, but I kind of just want standard Batman. I just want put him in Gotham, let him fight some average criminals, and we're good.
Yep.
I think that's just not a good.
Not in the cards.
No, it's not in the cards. Out of all the cards we got, that's not one of them.
That's right.
You want him in the past? We got that. You want him in the future? We got that too.
That's right. You want him in space? You want him wherever, off-world, whatever you want.
Just not fighting random criminals.
That's right.
We'll get to it, though, eventually.
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I read this week. Chris, what about your watches? What else did you get up to?
Oh, I've watched a lot of stuff. I saw Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which I know is big for both of us, but you see it tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I won't get into it. I don't want to spoil anything. I really enjoyed it, though. I think it plays kind of like an episode of the old animated series, which was really cool to me. So I think you're going to like it. I think.
Good.
I watched the original Ghostbusters again just because why not? That's always fun. Holds up really well. I did the Lord's work, and I watched Leprechaun on St. Patrick's Day.
Did you now?
I did. I watched on St. Patrick's Day. You got to do the Lord's work sometimes, and that is it.
And the Lord is Leprechaun.
Well, I maybe. I don't know. That's above my pay grade, really. But I enjoyed rewatching that. It's been a while. I forgot how funny it actually is. I think I remembered it being more horror, but rewatching it, it's actually more comedy. And he does
like
something
stupid.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not. Okay. It's not intelligent highbrow comedy. No, we're not watching The Office with a leprechaun. No, we're watching Dude, Where's My Car, but horror. But I just find it entertaining. Did we talk about the Mean Girls musical? I don't remember.
You mentioned it a few weeks ago, and I think you only said you watched half of it.
I finished it, and it was actually pretty entertaining. I think the meat of our discussion is going to be Roadhouse tonight.
Yeah, I finished it 3 minutes before the show. I was a tad late, so
that's okay. Yeah, Roadhouse is important. Before we get to that, yeah, Roadhouse. I also watched Kung Fu Panda 4. I didn't know there was 4 of these films.
Yeah, that
was a good time. So, did you watch X-Men '97? Because I did.
I did. My son saw a trailer for it. He's like, X-Men. I'm like, yeah, we should watch that. And it never came around. He went to bed, and I watched it without him. And I'm so happy that I did because it's awesome. And I didn't want to wait.
Did you watch both episodes?
I did watch both episodes, yes. Which I'm glad that I did as well, considering the big thing that happens at the end of episode 2.
I wish I had some type of clip or sound for X-Men. But I don't, so we're just going to do this.
Your job for next week.
This is our X-Men sound for tonight. This sound is actually called Feeding the Ducks. I don't know why.
Yeah. Instead of duck eating.
We need to make a GIF of that. If anybody can go back and do that, let us know. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, so X-Men 97 is something I've been like chomping at the bit for. And I stayed up to watch one episode, and it was special. It was
you stayed up like 2:00 in the morning, right?
Yeah, I was up till 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which it actually worked out because the dog also decided to wake up at, like right on the dot.
Perfect.
Yeah, so we were like in sync. We were both watching X-Men. Not that the dog cared. The dog was happy eating.
And he didn't care about Magneto. Bastard.
No, Phoebe does not care about Magneto. I care about Magneto. But anyway, I think these 2 episodes are flawless. The animation is so pretty to look at. It's such a nice update because it looks familiar, but it's also really good looking. Like they did a lot to make this look new. I love that. I love that the character traits are all intact. They've actually I think they got a little deeper with some of them too. Like I think the Rogue and Gambit stuff is neat. I see Ian's talking about that. We'll get to it. They did some good stuff there. I like seeing Jubilee fleshed out a little bit more. The stuff with like Sunspot was cool.
A lot of Jubilee, like
a lot of Jubilee, yeah.
Yeah.
And they did something. So I think in animation, dancing is hit or miss. It can go very, very wrong a lot of the time, and it worked here for me. Maybe I'm biased because it's X-Men, but I thought it looked good. I like the use of powers. Cyclops is the star. I didn't even know he could use his beams to land like that and move around. I've never seen that before. And now if they don't do that and everything going forward, I'm going to riot. It was so cool to see that. And there's blood in the series on Disney. Who knew that was going to happen? That was cool. I like the stories. They did Trial of Magneto, which I was not expecting. That was pretty cool. Yeah, I'm in love with the show so far. 2 episodes in, I'm all in.
It's very good. I like it, and the easiest thing to point out is the animation, because I remember when I had watched not too long ago, we did a thing with help me with it, Travis, for the Animation Nation. I think that's what it's called. I don't know. Where we talked about the old X-Men series and did some reviews for a couple of the episodes. And I remember I watched the one. I remember watching the one, and I hadn't watched it in years and years and years. And the animation is so bad. It's like a nice way to say it. Like, it's just so choppy. Even the voice acting and the dialogue I found like laughable at some points. So like the upgrade to that for this new series with, better dialogue. I think there's better voice acting and the animation style right out the gate without telling, any story or character moments, I think automatically elevates the show, greatly. And then you mix in how the story, how it progresses, I think if you watch the show without having seen the final episode of the old show, I still think you'd kind of be okay. You kind of be a little confused about where Professor X is and what's happening there, but they kind of move past it pretty quick.
They make it clear enough in those first, those opening moments. I think it's clear enough.
Yeah, and then like hey Chris, but then like the badass moments, like you're talking about, Aaron, how's it going? Awesome Cyclops with his beams slowing him down and all that kind of stuff, and the spot from the trailer that has the Gambit and Wolverine.
I love that
thing. Like the action moments, I thought were really, really well done. I like the story idea of like the Magneto taking over the team. I think that's really cool. But then also the idea of like, it just feels, if this aired in 97, I would believe it. And like, it feels the same. It feels right for some reason, but also
it feels like a continuation.
Yeah. Like, but then how, and I don't know if this is a reflection on the old show or this show, but if this show aired in 97, I would be okay with it. Like, it feels the same, but then, 20 or 30 years later, it doesn't feel dated in any way. Like, maybe that's because they updated the style of the animation, but like the story is still basically the same kind of story, but it feels the same and it feels okay. Like if they update anything from 30 years ago, at times it just doesn't feel right if they don't change something, if they don't update it in a certain way. But like the story is exactly the same. The characters, are basically the same characters. Like Wolverine is exactly the same person that he was,
Thankfully.
Exactly. And like, that's an interesting idea. And I like this just off my top of my head. I don't know if that works with everything. If you don't change anything from 1997 until now, and it still works.
I think there's a few factors to that, but I want to get to this for a second. Ian asked, I have a question about morph. Can he morph into any character and have their abilities? I believe that is the way it works because with Mystique, that's the way she works. Technically, like even in the movies, when she morphs into Wolverine, she gets the claws. They're not metal, but she has them.
Just doesn't get the healing that he has, obviously.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, they can, I guess, mimic the abilities. Like in the case of morph into Archangel, he can get wings and glide around, I suppose.
Yeah, he gets the physical attributes of their...
Yes, I think that's what it is.
You're right.
As far as like, yes, the stories are the same, but I think X-Men, the original animated series, the stories were really strong. It's just that the animation did not hold up very well. And some of the voice acting and dialogue doesn't hold up as well. But the stories themselves, they work. Like, that's the best version of the Dark Phoenix saga that's been adapted.
Right.
Which is, we've had 2 films with it and they couldn't get it right. This animated series did it in one shot.
Yep.
And I think that speaks for it. And also, it's just that it's an update, They took what worked. They're focusing on what worked and just go running with it, essentially. And adding new stuff along the way that we've never seen. Like Magneto leading the team is a thing in comics. They didn't bring it to the series before. Mr. Sinister being the main villain, we've seen it in comics. They're doing it in the series now. And it feels like they're taking a little bit from every piece of media of X-Men now and putting it into the series and molding it to fit the way they need it to. And that's where this Rogue and Magneto thing comes in. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will say, let them. I think the phrase is "let them cook."
I don't know. We got Aaron here, Phil. They know how to say that. Those guys are chefs. They know what's up.
And Zeddy's in here too. He knows about letting
Zeddy's
people
a cook. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. There's in the comics they have had some interactions. Is the way we'll put it. You may want to pick up Age of Apocalypse. So it's not like out of the realm of possibility, and the way they're doing it is kind of intriguing. Especially with Remy being there, kind of like Sad Cajun.
Sad Cajun.
To me, my geeks. Oh, that should be a T-shirt or a bumper sticker. Lead them to paradise. Yes. The Mahdi. Yeah, I love X-Men 97. I can gush about it for a while. I love everything about it.
It's crazy how much I enjoyed it as well after all these years, and I think they just like in every aspect of it, I think works. There wasn't like a thing that I really said, "Oh, what the hell did they do that for?" Or, that doesn't look right. Like it just like like you're saying, they updated what was working so well in the 90s and just made it better somehow.
Yeah.
It's not somehow, but they just made it better. And I think it just works so good, and it just shows how much everyone loves the X-Men being X-Men. Looking like X-Men, doing X-Men things.
This is so the year simple. Of the mutants. Prepare.
Yeah.
We have this. We have the X-Men comics relaunch, and then the Return of the King, July 2024. See y'all there.
See y'all there.
See y'all there. Return of the King. It's coming. Apocalypse. That was hilarious.
Yeah, so funny.
I was kind of worrying how they were going to show that in the series. The baby thing.
Oh yeah,
they went for it. I thought they were going to do something like completely off screen, like Jean just gets dropped off at the doors, then she has a child the next scene. No, they went in.
Yep.
Ian says Invincible and X-Men 97 animated rules. Yes, I agree. Give me more mutants. I like Invincible too, but more mutants.
More mutants.
The muties are cool. What did you watch other than X-Men and Roadhouse?
Yes. So I watched a bunch of movies this week. So I'll talk about 4 of them if I could. Holy cow, 4.
We got time. Unless you want to talk about Leprechaun some more. Because I am down.
I definitely have no time for that.
Okay. No time for Leprechaun. I got it. That's a new Bond movie.
So I watched Society of the Snow.
Mhm.
That's the one about I think they're from Chile or Uruguay. Not sure. It's a soccer team that gets their plane crashes in the Andes, and no one can find them, and they're there for 96 days or something. So and it's about them surviving and some of them not surviving. So I knew a little bit about this story just from happenstance or hearing about it. I didn't know, for one thing, how long they were stranded, lost for 90 days, and the second thing is I didn't know that they were eating each other. So
Cannibalism is cool.
so they didn't kill anyone to eat them. They once they died, then they ate them to
Hmm.
survive. So like, story is fine. It's obviously it's a true story. So, but I thought the directing was very good. It's directed by J.A. by Bonea or Bayana.
But
Um,
yeah, didn't he do one of the Transformers movies?
I
The
think he
Fast and
did.
Furious.
I think he did the Pacific Rim 2 movie, and then
Oh, okay.
one of the Jurassic Worlds, if I remember correctly.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. He did Fallen Kingdom. I think that's the
yeah,
guy.
okay, that would make sense. Yeah, and that's exactly what I want to talk about, Ian. Is just the intensity of some of the scenes. So there's the flight crash scene, but there's another scene where they're in, like, the, I don't know, what do you call it, the main part of the plane that doesn't have any wings or the front or
The
anything.
hull is
Yeah,
that a boat thing? A hull? I don't know.
yeah, that whole sounds fine. That's
The cabin.
the cabin. Hey, cabin works. And then there's an avalanche, and they're trapped underneath the snow. But then there's a scene where they're crawling out of the snow and
Hmm.
the sunlight. The idea of, like, the will to live in through the fuselage. Holy cow, Ian, very smart. Um, the idea of the will to live through a sense of the direction and through the what we're seeing on the screen was quite, I don't know what the word to use. Breathtaking is the only word that comes to mind, but it's something like that. Yeah, I love the direction of the movie. I love the way it looked. Obviously, it's just like 40 people inside this fuselage out in the snow, and slowly they die, and then very slowly they eat all of them. So, like, in the idea of it sounds ridiculous, and it sounds like it could be done very distastefully and very much like a cannibal movie.
I mean,
But
it sounds like a cannibal movie.
exactly, but you never get the sense that it's like these people are villains in any way. It's not like, oh my god, they're eating these people, how disgusting. It's like, oh my god, they're eating these people because, and like, they talk about it. They try and make it more or less like a democracy kind of deal.
Hmm.
So I thought that was an interesting way of doing it. But yeah, just the direction and the look and the feel of the movie was quite interesting, because, like, you're a sicko when you like cannibalistic movies.
I do not.
Anyway, so yeah, like, just the idea of thinking about it, for me, it makes me uncomfortable. But the way that they did it in the movie, it never made me feel uncomfortable in any way. But just the intensity of, like there's three guys that go, like, they just decide, okay, we need to leave, we need to go find help, or we're never going to make it out of here. And just them trekking through the snow, and, like, the visualization of it, it's like the scene, it's like scenes in Lord of the Rings where they're on the mountaintop and there's snow and you see the
Hmm.
sun and everything. It's like, oh my god, this movie looks huge and just looks beautiful. So I also didn't know the movie was a foreign language film, which I didn't know until I started the movie. So that was quite interesting. I tell you, reading subtitles in a movie with almost entirely white is very difficult.
Oh, the text isn't like a different color.
Yeah, the text that I had, on my TV, was very hard to read at some point, at some points. So that was fun to get through. But it might have been, I haven't watched a foreign film in a very long time. So that was pretty interesting. So I highly recommend Society of the Snow. It's a little long. It's over 2.5 hours, I think. A lot of that going around lately.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing. If you're not 2.5
Yeah,
hours, what are we doing here?
exactly. What's the point anymore? One other one
I
I watched
learned
was,
is oh,
what's that? No,
say
good.
the way you described it kind of reminded me of Snowpiercer for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah, a lot of snow.
Yeah, maybe it's the snow. Yeah.
Just a lot of snow.
Not bad, and people doing bad things, but they're not bad people. Maybe.
That's right. Another one I watched was American Fiction.
Oh yeah,
With
do you like it?
yeah, what's his name? Jeffrey
Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. Yeah, very interesting movie. I like the meta-ness of the story. It kind of does little Charlie Kaufman things every once in a while.
Hmm.
If you know if you've seen a Charlie Kaufman movie where it
Hmm.
feels like the movie's going one way and then you're inside the movie and they're watching inside the movie at certain points. So that does some cool things. One of the interesting things about it with Jeffrey Wright is if you've seen a lot of Jeffrey Wright movies, he sounds like Jeffrey Wright in a
Yes.
lot of his movies. Like he's got that soft, gravelly voice that he just has. In this one, it feels a little bit different. It feels like he's elevated Jeffrey Wright, which
Okay.
it's like I get tired of the gravelly, soft voice, not just from Jeffrey Wright, but from a lot of different actors. This idea where they're just constantly whispering at each other.
Mm-hmm.
Just talk in a normal tone of voice every once in a while so I can understand you. So yeah, I haven't seen a lot of Jeffrey Wright movies for one thing. Is another thing that I realized. I know I talked about that after watching Iron Claw, where I never seen a Zac Efron movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've seen a lot of Jeffrey Wright movies, other obviously the Batman.
Yeah.
What
I know him from the Bond movies primarily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
Westworld.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's in that vampire movie I like too, but he has a very small part in it.
Yeah, so it's nice being a fan of someone, and then when you watch more of their stuff and you see how great they are, it's like, oh, that's why I love Jeffrey Wright so much. Yeah, it's a very interesting story. It's about a black writer who gets tired of being asked to write like a black writer. He there's a funny scene where he's in a bookstore, and his books are in the like the African American literature section.
Mm-hmm.
He's yelling. He gets in a fight with the bookstore clerk, saying, "There's nothing about these books that are black. They're just books." And he's like, "Man, I just got them to tell them put here because you were a black author." And he starts moving them. And he's like, "Man, once you move these, I'm going to put them right back." He's like, "You're not going to move these goddamn books." It was kind of a funny idea, and an interesting idea, and one that obviously I hadn't thought about is a white bald guy. I don't know why bald had anything to do with it, but a white guy. The idea of you're stereotyping a writer into writing a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
A black writer has to write about gangs and drugs and a black culture is a big thing in the book, and a black writer can't just write a regular book. So that was a kind of interesting idea that I had never thought about, and I liked the way that the story unfolds and how we get from point A to point B. And there's a lot of sadness in the movie, a lot of funny stuff in the movie. It's got I can't remember the guy's name. He's the guy in the TV show about the thing and the guy Sterling. That Sterling K. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Is in the movie, and he's very funny.
He's great in everything.
Yeah, and that's another person that I hadn't seen a lot of because I don't watch that TV show that he's in about the guy in the thing. But yeah, he's very funny in the movie. So yeah, Sterling K. Brown. He's kind of an underrated actor that I hadn't really thought about either after watching that. And since I put the name of this movie in the title, I'm going to talk about The Lobster.
That's why it's there. Okay, yeah. I was wondering. I thought I was thinking, is a Roadhouse thing I missed? Was there a lobster in there somewhere?
There's no lobsters in the Roadhouse. Yeah.
Okay, so we already established it's not about Red Lobster, which is already a letdown.
Yeah, well, that helps talk about the show though, for sure. So, yeah. So after I watched Poor Things, I wanted to watch more stuff from the director of Poor Things, and The Lobster was one of the first things that I found that I could stream instantly without having to do it illegally or have to buying anything. So, and it had Colin Farrell in it as well. So that was
always a plus,
a big plus for me. So, The Lobster was so good. Chris, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. It's about people in some kind of weird future that if you don't have a partner, you have to go to a retreat. If you do not find a partner in 60 days, you get turned into an animal of your choosing.
Okay.
Colin Farrell's choice, if he does not find a mate, is to turn into a lobster. thus the movie is called The Lobster.
That does sound like something I'll enjoy.
Yeah, so it's really funny, this idea about being okay with being single and being okay with being in a relationship and just learning to be okay with who you are. Yeah, Ian, it's a very, very weird movie, but it's got another a favorite of mine is Rachel Weisz, who's in it. She's kind of Colin Farrell's love interest per se.
Is she also going to be a lobster? Or is that
No, no, she's not part of
okay.
the community that he starts out with. There's a separate community that's not so there's a community that wants everyone to be together, and then there's a community that wants everyone to be single.
Okay, so the lobster sounds right, man. Yeah, I think that we're gonna have to do a community watch this because it sounds awesome so far.
Yeah, exactly, and it's like it's really
the poor
slow.
things guy.
Yeah, exactly. From the guy, another name that I can't pronounce.
Yorgos, I think.
Yoro Thornonis, or yeah,
The guy.
The guy who's very good.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
I like him. Yes.
Yeah, no, we talked about this before about how Colin Farrell is so much more than everything that he is, led to believe. He's not a hotshot. He's actually just a very, very good actor. The Penguin trailer was released earlier this week, and it's got the Colin Farrell Academy Award nominee. There should be winner beside that name. 100%. Like he is he's so good in everything that he is. Like he can be so subtle, like in this movie, but he can be that over the top guy as well. Like he can be everything. He's so good. He's so good in this movie as well. He's just incredible.
I love Colin Farrell, but everybody
knows. Yeah, he's so good. Like and recently, I forget what did we watch with him recently where that kind of kicked off my love of Colin Farrell. Do you remember what that was?
A recent movie with Colin Farrell? Was it? Yeah. It wasn't Banshees, wasn't it? Was it?
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was
Banshees of Inisherin. I love that movie.
And I went back and watched In Bruges.
Yes.
And ever since then, he's one of my favorite actors because up until that point, I thought he was just a hotshot dickhead.
No.
But now he's so good, and he's so good in this movie. Just incredible. It's such a weird, crazy, stupid idea. Literally, there's somehow a way that you can get turned into an animal if you don't get a mate. Like it doesn't make any sense, and they don't try and explain it in any way, which is even better. Like they don't explain the science. You don't get to see it happen. Nothing. It's just such a cool, simple idea, and when you watch it, it becomes much more than the science of it and the futuristic nature of what kind of world they're in. It's just about the idea of being with someone and not being with someone, and like the ending is very interesting. If this movie was more popular, I think it'd be an ending we'd be talking about a lot, like The Usual Suspects or something like that. Like it's just got one of those endings where you're like, if you argue both sides to it, I think both things could be true. It just ends on such an interesting thought experiment, I guess I want to say.
Well, I guess I'm watching Lobster tonight.
It's a movie. It's a movie for you, Chris. I think if you go in expecting there to be a lot of people talking, which I think we both love.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's good. That's good dialogue. I agree with Phil on both of these posts he's got here. Phil says Colin Farrell is one of the best actors working today, epitome of versatile, and also Banshees is immaculate. Completely co-signed.
Back-to-back wins for Chris right there.
Yes. Good, normal chatting. Ian says, bring back Farrell Bullseye. No.
Next, please.
Colin Farrell in phone booth. I recommend the lobster to my life. I recommended the lobster to my wife. She hated it. It's definitely not for everyone. Yeah, but I feel like that's the way that director's movies are, because I know a lot of people who hated Poor Things and said it was actually disgusting. Yep. And I disagree. In Bruges is his best performance. I would say In Bruges or Banshees. Yeah, it's one of those for me. For Colin Farrell, I think it's one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely not Bullseye, though. I will say that. and Bruges, I'm really partial to. I love In Bruges because that's the movie. Like I like them anyway, but that's the one when I watch, I was like, oh, he is more.
The movie's too funny.
It's oddly funny.
Too funny. I just every time when Colin Farrell's sitting on that bench, and those fat Americans want to go up the tower. He's like, you can't do it. He's like, I'm not being funny. You can't. Don't do it. and then he starts chasing him around in a circle. That fat American.
It's a good time. That movie's so good.
Or the other one where Brendan Gleeson tries to get him to go up in the tower. Like, what the fuck do I want to go up there for? I can see what's down here from down here. What do we need to go up there for? Like,
I hope that director reunites them again for, I think it'll be the third movie.
Yeah. I tweeted that out, I think it was last week. I want another Martin McDonagh movie so bad.
With those two.
With those two, it's just the two of them. They're just so good. They're so good.
Mm-hmm. It's such a dark movie too, but it has it kind of reminds me of Jojo Rabbit in that way. Like Jojo Rabbit's also a very dark movie if you pay attention to the subject matter, but it has a lot of levity in it. So I would say they're a similar tone in a way. Mm-hmm. Colin Farrell is great in Minority Report too. Yeah, he is. He plays a good villain. Mm-hmm. I'm a fiend for mojitos. Good stuff.
All right, let's talk about Roadhouse, Chris.
You mean Roadhouse?
Roadhouse. I just finished it a little while ago, and you and I actually talked about the original a few weeks ago for our Gathering of the Geeks movie night, which we both had never seen before, and we had a great time with it. Mm-hmm. This is a very different Roadhouse.
Very different.
That original Roadhouse. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought the action was fun. I thought Colin McGregor was stupid and funny and walked like a robot, but I thought he had some funny one-liners.
He did.
I like that idiot Billy Magnuson as the villain. I thought he was a cocky asshole who I'm glad died. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I thought it was fun.
Ian does not agree. It was.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Colin.
I thought that it was also such a good time. I really enjoyed the new Roadhouse, and I don't think we would have watched this if we didn't watch the original first.
Yeah, that would be an interesting idea. Is to have this one first before the original.
You and I had the same reaction to the trailer. Like, well, now we want to see what the fuss is about. Why does this need a remake? What is this?
Yeah, right.
And I like that they are so different because it doesn't really feel like, I mean, it is a remake, but it stands on its own because it's different enough. Like this Dalton is a borderline psychopath, I think. He's crazy. Mm-hmm. And he's a lot more violent in a way than, Swayze's was, even though he ripped a throat out. Mm-hmm. This guy was a different beast. But I think they're both very likable and as their Daltons. I think the stories are close enough. This one's villain, it's hard to like Billy Magnuson. Mm-hmm. Is that how you pronounce it? Magnuson?
Yeah, that's what I got.
It's hard to like that guy. I don't think I've seen anything where I think, oh, that's a good guy. He's
got the look on his face too, where you just hate him. Like that guy's gonna be a bad guy, and I hate him already.
Right. Anything he's in, even if I don't know he's the villain automatically, if I see him on the list of the cast, oh, that's the villain. Like if he's in a Batman movie, oh, he's probably the Joker. Mm-hmm. He's that guy. So he worked out. Conor McGregor was kind of a surprise to me. I thought they would give him like an actual role. He doesn't have a role. He kind of just walks around like a robot, has one-liners, and fights. Mm-hmm. He's basically the character from the first one with the prison line.
Right.
They're basically the same thing, except one is much larger than the other.
Much larger.
Yes. So I thought that was cool. I like the tie with the kid in this one.
Oh, the bookstore.
Kid. I like that. That was different. I thought the action was really well done. Yeah, I like pretty much everything about this one. I think sometimes, like I tweeted this, I just want a fun action movie, and this really does fit that bill. Because there's nothing special about it, just like the first one. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like, oh, well, that is something you won't see in anything else. No, we've seen all of this.
Yeah, there's no Patrick Swayze doing karate kicks, It's like, whoa, that's Patrick Swayze doing karate kicks. It's like, here's Jake Gyllenhaal, an action star, doing action star things.
Yeah, doing like UFC type fighting, which he's done in a movie before. um, he also works really well as a hero. I'm just kind of putting that out there again. I think he looked really cool with a cowl on his head, particularly one with medium-sized ears. Let's go for medium.
Yeah, very specific there, Chris.
Maybe he's a little batty. Who knows? Let's see. Got some comments about it. So he said Jake Gyllenhaal is a likable badass. Some might say he was mimicking some Batman qualities in it. See, there you go. I didn't name the name, but Zeddy knew. Zeddy knows. He's cooking. I still have not ever heard of any bars that are that crazy. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever been to a bar that's that nuts. Typically, though, I don't know if I've hung on that many dive bars though. We're getting into the barcades and breweries, not dive bars.
That's right.
He says, I like Gyllenhaal doesn't do anything else well, in my opinion. The story made no sense, which would be forgivable if the action was good, but the fight choreography was bad. I liked when he was just slapping him. That was cool.
I thought the fight choreography was pretty good. I actually liked that you actually saw the punches. I thought that you could feel the punches as well. Like when they're fighting, there's a lot of quick camera movements, but like every punch that you see, the camera holds on the punch every single time. And I thought like as fake as the fights looked, they didn't look fake. I think like each hit for me. Like it looked like they were punching each other. Like I thought the choreography of that was really nice.
Yeah, it looked like an actual bar fight to me most of the time. Not as much because I think in the first one it looks much more choreographed.
Sure.
Especially you have the prison guy vaulting over with pool sticks and different stuff. These were just fights, so I like the fighting. I think that's in regards to Jake Gyllenhaal.
I'm sure that's the Batman stuff. Yeah.
Oh, Aaron's watching it, so we're muted. Okay. Roadhouse. Cookie says, I love the Post Malone cameo. Okay, so I'm glad you brought this up. Did you know Post Malone was in this movie?
Just because I saw a poster. I didn't know what he was doing. And I was waiting like, okay, is this the Wade character? Like, is this,
That's what I thought he was going to be.
And then, yeah, exactly. And which was an interesting thing that there was no Wade character. But yeah, just I knew there was a poster, but I didn't know what he was really going to be doing.
I didn't know either. I think I heard he was in the movie as a cameo, but I wasn't expecting that. So that was pretty cool seeing him there. And I was surprised he didn't have a song on the soundtrack just because. I think that's generally how these things go. Hey, get the singer to cameo and let him do a song. Like there was no Post Malone Roadhouse theme. I kind of want that now.
I like the realistic body he had. It made me feel like I was in the movie.
I did appreciate that too. They didn't make him like
he didn't put a shirt on him. No, just straight up. Let's make this like over, out of shape, white guy punching people. Hey, I'm all for it.
Topless and barefoot, ready to go.
Exactly.
I had a lot of fun watching it. The dad jokes were fantastic. It's a lot of humor in it, actually.
Yeah, my favorite one was the one where Conor McGregor's character crashes into the bar. And he goes, "You're a terrible driver." And he says, "Yeah, wrong side of the road."
Such a pleasant surprise for me. Ian says, has it ever happened where one guy should bar fight and everyone starts attacking each other randomly? Is that an American thing? I've seen it at like sports stands. Like when you watch a sporting event, people do go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll have to take you to a Chicago sporting event. You'll see. There you go. Chris looks like Conor McGregor under that shirt. No. I don't even think Conor McGregor looks real.
Definitely the butt shot. His butt looks fake in the movie.
Okay, about that. Why did we have to see him twice?
Yeah.
We got the joke the first time. It was just odd to see it again. And the fact that it's had a post-credit scene or mid-credit was kind of funny to me. I've seen some people say we should get a sequel with them teaming up.
Yeah.
I kind of like that idea. Dalton and
I'd be all for it. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Knox? Isn't it Knox? Yeah, it was tattooed across his chest. I'd like to see Dalton and Knox team up. Maybe that's the Wade character because I kind of missed a Wade. That's one thing that I will say. Like if I have a complaint,
there's lots I missed from the original. But.
I miss the '80s like charm.
Yep. I would agree with that. I would agree with the charm. There's no charm in the movie.
No, this is different.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it has no personality because I mean the first one is what it is, but it's a different beast. But I did miss Wade. I miss some of the '80s charm, and the feeling of escalation that you get from the first one, because in the first one there's no like extreme violence till much later on, whereas this one starts it pretty quick. But I guess different times, so it's fine.
Yep.
But good stuff. I thought I enjoyed it.
I had a great time with it. I'm pretty sure I knew exactly what to expect, kind of going in. Like I
Since we
wasn't
know the first one,
expecting. Yeah, exactly. It's not like they're gonna, really change it to try and make a good movie based off of 1987's Roadhouse or whatever. It's like they're just trying to make a fun action movie with cool action and dad jokes in it.
And it's getting people talking. I was at a restaurant before we got online, and the table behind me, it was like a group of, I would say, older people. And they were talking about this movie.
Nice.
Yeah, it's getting some attention. And he get a lot more attention if he's wearing a cowl too.
With medium ears, of course.
Yeah, medium-sized ears. Yeah.
Very important.
Not too long, not too short. We don't look like a cat. I'll watch another one.
I would watch another one. I'm also not on your Jake Gyllenhaal Batman bandwagon, but I fully embrace you. I fully embrace you talking more about it as the months go on until we actually get a real casting. So, as you guys like to say on DC Unlimited, I'll come to your manifestation circle and just watch from the bushes. And,
Thursday night.
Yeah, and laugh at you guys and have my own good time.
You can do that if you want.
Yeah, sure. I think that's all. I've actually watched more movies this month than I have of any of the months so far this year, and that's mostly in the last last 2 weeks. So, and I'm gonna watch some more this week. I'm gonna get to The Killing of a Sacred Deer this week to finish more of my what's his name movies.
Yorgos. That's a great one too.
Yeah, so I'm excited to watch that one. And what else do we got? What do we got? Some comics this week. There's actually the X-Men 97 comic that comes out this week.
There is
issue number 1, so that'll be kind of interesting to see. I haven't seen if it's a prelude to the new show.
It'll bring some gaps.
I'm
gonna read it, but I'm not really that excited about it, but I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. What else? Anything else you got going on this week? You said you may go see a movie tonight. You're gonna go. What else is going on?
I'll probably check out Immaculate tomorrow because I might just watch The Lobster tonight. The timings have been weird at the theaters by me. I guess the 3 big movies that came out this week are all fighting for showtimes. It's like Ghostbusters: Frozen Empire has no late showings. I can't even see the what is it called, The Devil Tonight or something like that. I can't even see it because there's only early showings. So if I can, I might go to Immaculate, but I don't think so. I'll check it out this week for sure. Cool. I will watch The Lobster. After you talked about it, you sold me. So that's on the list, and we'll see what else. We do have Easter on Sunday.
Yes.
So we will not be having a show.
Well, yeah. So then if we don't have a show next week,
we're actually be out for 2 weeks.
The week after. That's right.
So we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Surprise.
Yeah. I just thought about that too. I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, oh man, Mania's in 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we will have the next 2 Sundays out, but maybe we'll do something in between, like another movie night or something like that.
Yeah, we can probably make that happen.
Yeah, we'll watch Roadhouse 3 or something.
All right, Chris. So you got any more comments you want to hit up? If not, just hit people up with your plugs.
Aaron's asking about, are you going to see Kong vs. Godzilla?
Yeah, my son wants to see that, so I'm gonna find some time to go see that.
Cool. Zeddy is going to go back to his James Bond rewatch, which I fully support, by the way. He just finished On Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's a mixed one, in my opinion. We'll talk about it after the show, though. I'm curious. He says Psalm 3 is this week for those who are reading. Oh, okay. I'm not loving the book, but I keep reading it, so I'm in.
One more to go.
This Thursday. Oh, Godzilla. Okay. I think that covers it.
Cool.
We have
Plug
plugs
away.
now. You guys can follow me on Twitter at thatchris70. You can also follow the show I do with my buddies Phil Walsh and Anthony Caruso over at DC Unlimited Pod. We talk all things DC over there. There's a lot of takes. Some of them are hot, some of them are not. I don't know. It's up to you.
Manifestations, that's for sure.
We do manifest a lot of things, or try to. I would also love it if you would follow this show at G of the Geeks. And Emmet is better with the rest of the plugs, so he will take over.
You can follow me on Twitter at EmmettDavis7. Gathering of the Geeks is available on YouTube. And wherever you get your podcasts, just search Gathering of the Geeks and you'll find us right there. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks, Cookie. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Ian. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Anthony. I think that's it. Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for watching on this fine Sunday evening. We'll hit you up in a few weeks. We got Easter, the Easter Bunny, and then best day of the year for wrestling
the
fans.
Mania Bunny.
Yeah, the Mania Bunny for WrestleMania. So thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate you as always. And saying all that, for Chris and I am Emmet, and we gather on Sundays.
Memory is a monster.